Well, I wonder by what it's going to start.
Now it did. Yeah, now it did. Sorry for the confusion. Okay. Hello everyone. Sorry, I messed up a little bit with the starting of the stream and has been talking for the good few minutes here. So yet again, hello all. Let me introduce the participants for today. It's Louis, our CEO and founder of Yellow Network and our main visionary. I'm Anastasiia, the marketing officer for Yellow Network. And today we're going to talk a little bit. I'll post announcement for Duckies evolving as a Canary network. And what does it mean for Yellow? How are we going to change the interaction with Duckies, with all of those new roles? What do we have in store? And also introduce to you a little bit the concept of the Canary network itself, how it's going to work for Yellow, and what exactly are we going to do here. So yet again, hi, Louis. one more time. Very happy to see you. Again, we're in different time zones in different parts of the world, and it's always good to see each other, even if through a stream.
Hello, everyone.
So I guess let's start. First of all, right after our announcement, we just noticed that there's been tons of the confusion of what exactly Duckies mean as the Canary network, but what is more important, what the Canary network is essential and what does it mean for the industry. So Luis, can you share your vision in terms of how do you see Canary network? How would you explain this term, like as if I was a 5-year-old?
Well, first, are you asking me about Canary testing from, the engineer practice?
Right.
Or about Canary networks in blockchain? So I think there are two different things, and maybe we should start here.
Let's start with just Canary network as a general practice. What does it mean in software engineering?
So I usually call it Canary testing because not everything in software is a network. So then we'll speak about network later.
Right, that's true.
In the environment of blockchain. So I think you'll definitely hear a lot about Canary networks. But if we take a step back, there is what we call Canary testing, and it's a kind of software testing. Or you can even say not even software, but product testing. And so testing product is a big part of making your product, making great products. It's very important. And so many years ago, the industry practice evolved into, rather than testing in a closed environment, for example, you have an employee which is testing your product and giving you feedback, and he's the only one testing it, which is rather limited. Companies started to open the testing to their customers, their supporters or chosen contributors, for example. And testing got a lot better from this point. So, when you are a game tester, for example, you are actually a Canary tester. So what you will not see very often Canary testing word, but actually it's everywhere in the practice. It's today the main practice for product and software. So on Google, they do it. On Facebook, they do it. I mean, all biggest companies. And so the reason why you will not hear the word Canary testing very often, it's because it's very, under the hood type of thing. It's in our language between engineer, we use the word canary testing for saying the small sandbox that is the pre-production. So there is the production servers, the main deployment, and then we have a smaller scaled down version of that production environment just for canary testing. And so usually you would deploy a more recent software on the canary environment. So it's really a technical term for, let's say, DevOps, system administrators, to designate the real live test environment. And so you will hear about canary deployment for canary testing. But that's usually the makers that know you are on the canary network. But even the tester themselves, they don't really know they are on a canary network, a canary deployment, sorry. I think,
So is it in any way like different to the regular deployment that we kind of all used to? Meaning that the developers like engineering the system, and then the QA is just checking it, and then the people are seeing it.
So if you're doing a good job in your canary testing campaign, I would say, there should not be any difference with production. And the more difference there will be, the more, let's say, the less the canary testing will work. So you really want to have the environment as close as possible to the reality. So you want to have the same server configuration, right. You want to have the same database, the same everything. And I think the same everything is very important for the rest of the dialogue today.
Yes, it is. So pretty much Canary, what is it? Canary testing on the network is the same as a regular network, just that you kind of like experiences maybe new experimental features that the developers want to see how you're gonna react as a testing user group. Basically, I think this is like one of the benefits and one of the reasons why engineers enrolled Canary networks or Canary testing in the first place, to kind of like have this very specific group of users that they can play around in a real environment and the condition as close to the main net as possible.
So what do you think is the most important benefit of Canary testing, let's say, from marketing and business point of view?
From marketing and business point of view, this is definitely the community involvement, because people feel like they actually contribute to the software, that it's not just directed by engineers, that they are the ones taking place in this, that they are the ones kind of like mapping this software governance. They are the ones deciding what is going to stay and what is not going to stay. Because I guess it's a common misconception in the industry that I mentioned before, that like engineers design something, then they test it themselves, and then they expect the users to understand how they need to act and what they mean there. And it's not necessarily something that people really want.
I wish developers were testing themselves.
Well, okay, QAs.
In my dream, they test themselves. But, we try to make it a practice. And often you call this, eat your own dog food.
Right.
But yeah, unfortunately, that's because engineers are very bad at testing their own product. That we really need the community here. I think you're right about the answer. Like connecting with your community, your customers or your early adopters is extremely important in making good products. We've seen it a lot, and there is, one more thing I will say purely from the financial perspective. You save money, and you save time in doing Canary testing, which means you save money. So
Obviously.
it's a big accelerator of innovation. And
Right.
often the thing is that, me, I'm a product builder. I've been doing this all my life, and most of the time, you're not exactly sure what you're supposed to build. You build something new. So until you hit the market and you get the feedback, you kind of working blind. And so Canary testing practice helps you to have fast iteration, make the feature, deploy the feature, get feedback, and fix it, or even remove it. So very often you develop feature that you're gonna have to get rid of because your user don't use it. Then the feature
Or
costs
use
you
it
money.
not in the way that you assumed that the user
Exactly.
is going to do that.
And a terrible thing would be, to develop too many features, and then people just come in your product and they are completely lost, and they are like, I don't understand. What should I do? What
Yeah.
should I use? Why is it there? What is your value proposition, etc. And Yellow Network is one of this kind of thing that, we are developing an ecosystem, we are
Yeah.
developing a marketplace, and we today don't really have an idea of how is it going to be after global adoption. Who's going to be the main, members, the successful startups, etc., on the Yellow Network. And we need this experimental environment for rapid
Yeah.
feedback. So I would say Canary Network has been extremely needed and essential, so we can, launch the Yellow Network faster. And it's also true for any Canary deployment, Canary testing practice, is actually shrinking down the test period so you go to the market faster. And so that's also good news for Yellow Network.
Not only just faster, that you go in on a market with something that people need, like
You
actually need,
validated.
and already invested into this. Like,
Yeah. Also,
let's say emotionally or usability wise. I feel like one of the main examples that people, pretty much everyone know, which is the main example of a successful Canary network, is Kusama. They did exactly that. They focused on the community. They provided unique opportunities for developers to actually like try the network, experiment on this like Kusama sandbox. They even marketed it as like a wild, crazy ride. Expect chaos. We don't know what's gonna happen. So Kusama, you guys, like, they kind of like gave Kusama to their users. They said that's on to you. You're gonna be managing it. You're gonna decide what's gonna happen, and the most successful features are gonna make it to the main network of Polkadot. I guess it's actually the beginning for the Canary testing in the blockchain. It has not been there before, right? Or it wasn't that popular before Kusama.
so I think, the creator, Gavin Wood, which is a developer that have been following closely by using and reading his source code.
Right.
Mainly in a software called Parity, which is a Ethereum implementation in Rust. Parity actually was a better implementation than the one in Go that Vitalik is leading. And I think, this is where Polkadot is born, is from this code base. So I think he's a good model of an engineer we can follow. That's what open source is good for. You can find your mentors and learn from them. And I think he had this big crazy plan with Polkadot with so many features.
Yeah.
And
Which usually works.
when I well, there was a point where he was like, well, so how do we release this thing? It's like so big. Um, and their schedule was very complicated. Like they have, some kind of emission period, lock period, like starting the consensus, issuing the token, and so on. So it was like a complicated beast to get momentum with. And this is where Gavin Wood, I don't think he really planned it when he was designing Polkadot, but he just came to the conclusion he need to launch a smaller version of the network so he can experiment every stage before having it on Polkadot. And this is what they did. They launched faster Kusama because there was already the development. Every builders, companies, developers which were able to build parachains because their thing in Polkadot is parachains.
Yeah.
Our thing is brokers, I would say. So they were able to access the platform, the SDK. They had this early access. And actually, all of the successful projects on Polkadot are the ones who started 2 years ahead of the network on Kusama. And so, the early access is key to get your market shares and, to really secure your competitivity, your experience, because
pretty much
the ecosystem you will invest in is going to take you time and efforts.
Pretty much they kind of like started early and just released the raw version to understand is it something that people can actually kind of like comprehend, because the way you're explaining what Kusama and Gavin Wood did for Kusama it's kind of like reminding me a little bit of Yellow Network, because it's not an extremely easy thing to understand for everyone. It still requires some kind of it requires some time to be spent in order to kind of like know exactly what we're doing. So with introducing the Canary network, we're pretty much kind of like cutting this additional step of getting familiar with the network. It's still the same step, but in a different way, because you can actually like dug your hands into it and test it.
It makes me think of, maybe a toy train you would give to a child, which is a scaled down version of a train.
Right.
And he can get the concept of, running a rail track without hurting himself in a smaller scale. And, maybe one day he will fix real trains or operate real trains. We do this all the time in life, in different ways. So this is quite common, and that's the early access is. We often say risk taker. So you are a risk taker for using a Canary environment. But on the other side, it's also a sandbox where the risk is controlled. And I think, I don't know if now is a good time to make a parallel of, what was before Canary testing in blockchain. and why is it so much better with Canary testing? So
I think now it's a perfect time. Plus,
yeah,
explaining like the difference between the Canary testing and a regular testnet, which is way more common for the crypto and blockchain industry.
so I will tell you that, from the time Ethereum is born, so we're talking about the before Kusama period,
Right.
there was the testnet. And
Still
me
is.
as a block, yeah. So the testnet was there, and me as a blockchain developer, I've been using testnets, and I don't like it. As a developer, it's like, well, I'm using testnet, of course, but this is slow. This is broken most of the time. The network is not working well. The nodes you are dealing with often get stuck. Your transaction gets stuck. I'm sure if there is some Solidity developers in the channel, you guys know what I'm talking about. So testnet are crap. And why they are crap? Because there is no incentive for the miners, the node operator, to make a good job in making sure their servers are smooth and working efficiently. Whereas on a mainnet, you get paid or you get slashed for doing the mining of blocks. So testnet don't have a financial incentive in doing so. So most of the time they are unstable. You could even, hack them. Would be pretty easy, to disturb the stability of the network because there is no financial incentive. So when you think about it, in a blockchain environment, a testnet is never going to be a reliable testing environment. It's really a poor place to do it.
Because it's always a
And
testing environment. And it's not
yeah, and a
necessarily
very
it's not necessarily the same one and it's going to be on the mainnet. It might be working even like completely differently, comparing to. I feel like we kind of like faced with it a little bit as well when just like releasing something like some feature and it on a testnet it works fine, and then on the mainnet it's just not necessarily here.
So this happens all the time. And so, for example, I can't remember in which contract, it was some things related to OpenDAX. We deployed it on the mainnet and suddenly it doesn't work. And we're like, what did we do wrong? Like, it doesn't make any sense. An ERC20 is an ERC20. Well, it's not true. So Binance token is a broken ERC20 and it's on the mainnet. The USDT is also a broken token. I mean, it's not conform to the standard of ERC20 because the standard appeared later after the token. And so on mainnet, you're actually dealing with reality facts that might not be the same as your testnet environment. And so there is one more thing I would like to add is that on mainnet, one USDT is almost $1. And that's very important. So when you're locking in some contract, couple of hundreds or couple of thousands of token, of dollar worth of token, you kind of, want to unlock them at some point. You want to make sure it doesn't get easily stolen. And so you kind of start to have this security and practice and diligence. But where you're in testnet, you're just making a fake token that you call USDT, but it's not worth $1. It's worth nothing.
It's not really a USDT, yeah.
And so you could mint $1 million to yourself
Right.
and put it there. Nobody's going to steal it because everybody knows it has no value. It's just a dumb contract you did. And so you're not testing your security. You're not learning anything here. And so when DeFi protocol really started to emerge, a testnet would be a terrible environment to test it, because it's value exchanging against value, and then you have none of this on testnet. So that's like maybe enough to close the testnet topic. But while we still use testnet, they are not enough for launching your product.
But it still might be a good thing to kind of like play with ourselves on the development side. And
Exactly.
then we want to involve users. We just do it on a Canary. So it doesn't mean that we need to discourage testnets altogether. But of course, Canary is way more valuable and much more than just a regular testnet. I feel like we need to talk about Duckies and kind of like why do we decided to go with the Canary network? Why is it essential for our project? And then explain to people why Duckies, because I guess me and you would be the best people to do it, because this project was born in our conversation.
I think so. I mean, the Duckies name came, out of the color yellow. Second fact,
Right.
we
Yeah.
had to find a yellow bird. Canaries are yellow birds. I mean, there is a yellow canary, but
A bird
it
is
was
a bird.
overused and everywhere. And we wanted to avoid the word canary because many networks have their canary network, so we didn't want it, to be the canary network. So we didn't go for canary as a token name. Plus, there is many out there which does not really make sense because they are not canary networks. They are not for testing purposes. And so I think we came up with the name Duckies because, I think thinking about this toy version, downscaled version, scaled down version, I think it was like a good, approachable brand and title. We don't want to make it, we want to invite people to come and discover. I think, of course, you need to have a little bit of blockchain education and finance to really understand it. But even if you don't, we added just enough feature to make it fun.
That's
So we
actually why
added
we
this.
started with the fun part, not the
Yes.
more serious part, is to
Yes.
give people the sense of this. I can't say cool project because I'm in marketing and need to come up with just better terms. But I mean, we wanted to give our community a sense of something that is produced by our team, which is not necessarily the same as Yellow Network, but at the same time, there is a part of it and plays a very important role here.
So we've been teasing the audience for a while.
For a long time.
People were a bit wondering, why there is Duckies inside Yellow. Like,
why are we doing
like
this?
separate things? And there is even more. Everyone who's been using Duckies so far has been our testers, because Duckies was in soft launch. And it never made it out of soft launch, but we got our conclusion thanks to your contributions and your work. And now we are finishing the soft launch phase. So again, soft launch, it's again another
term
word for Canary testing or testing on real people. So you've been part and contributing on this big test environment. So I think, we learn a lot of things when it comes to reward program, rewarding people, how, we got a solid community of fans and contributors that are very excited with what we do, and it's only the beginning. I think we learn a lot about abuse and frauders which have been abusing the system,
Yes.
but
Yes.
we were letting them doing it.
It was a controlled abuse.
Exactly. And we as you knew, we still had a roadmap, few milestones,
Yes.
which is this NFT game. So the reward system wouldn't be complete without this NFT game. I don't think I will reveal all of the Easter egg from the game, but there is yet another reward value bridge from Duckies to Yellow, which you will find out in the game. So the game is one of the missing important piece, and I would say the Canary was the other one. Today,
Yeah, so
I was expecting to release the game earlier, but I would say our progress on the Yellow network is that now we are at the stage where we want to have online on the network the first startups. So we need to launch the Canary network. And actually, the game will be coming shortly after, which is in numbers of weeks now. We are polishing, we have been playing it, and some of our audience can be invited to become testers of the game very soon. So I think I covered, the how and the why Duckies has been here. Maybe not much about the why. This I can explain a bit more, but I'll let you take over if you want.
yeah, I just wanted to inform our community a little bit of because as you mentioned before, we received tons of questions when we first introduced Duckies, and one part of the community didn't really understand why we were doing this. They were like, Duckies? I thought you were a serious project, and this is just something that does not sit well with me. But it was always our plan to have this breach between something very serious, which is a Yellow network, something a project where we need kind of like serious participants, meaning we need brokers. I know you don't like this word for the blockchain.
No, I love brokers. I'm just saying it's difficult as they don't exist yet in blockchain in crypto. Yeah, I think we should
Let's
have
just say
brokers. That's
exchanges, startups, all of this like market makers, like trading firms. So this is and when explaining this project, for many people, it kind of becomes obvious that as a regular users, they might not find their place here. It is not intended for them. But we both know that we are trying to find a place for, well, everyone. I know, like it sounds cheesy, but it is. Everyone will have a thing to do in the Yellow network ecosystem. And Duckies is actually a part of this. So if you are more into this funny things, Duckies are your place. And that's why we started with that. We started with this like incentives where you can do something small and then get rewards, and it's been good for the community. How do you think? For me, it's I think it's been awesome, and I'm really looking forward to building this. building this evolution with introducing a more serious utility for Duckies in Yellow Network.
So even that there is a game in Duckies, I like to say that Duckies is the gamification of
Yellow
Yellow
Network.
network adoption.
Yeah.
So we want to tie in the game a lot of education. I think by playing the game, and over time, you guys will have your master degree of markets and finance. We will be feeding you bits of lecture and information along the way that will build your knowledge of finance. Because while if you want to join Polkadot and Kusama, you need to be a good developer and probably know Rust language, which is not the easiest place to start. For Yellow Network, you need to know what's a candlestick and what's liquidity and trading and order books and all of these things.
Yeah, for Duckies, you don't need to know anything. You can just do
And
very
Duckies might bring you there in a
right.
fun way. So it's a bit like Duolingo is making a gamification of learning a new language, I think, and it's pretty nice. So I think Duckies might be more serious than it seems. And there is one more thing I wanted to add. This is, from Robert from Consensus. We were speaking
Robert
about
Drost.
crypto. Yeah, and
Give
he
people
was
some.
telling me, oh, my daughter loves meme coin. And I was saying, oh, yeah, those meme coins, it's crazy and so on. And he was saying, but you know what? Those meme coin have value because they are useful, because the utility is entertaining people. And I really like that. And I really wanted to I really wanted to integrate the fact that meme coins are part of what crypto is today. And I know they're gonna have a special place in Yellow Network.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the special place is in the Canary network, is in the sandbox. So while you could be trading very serious stuff on the main chain, trading Shiba Inu could be perfect for testing trading on Canary network. So the way I envision the Canary network testing. So when brokers are bringing, their first exchange, they have to do it on the Canary network. And I would even say we will not allow exchange to go directly live on Yellow network. They have to start with the Canary network. They will be exchanging trades and orders by trading on meme coins. Because
so is Canary architect is Ducky's Canary network architecture is the same as Yellow?
it's absolutely the same. We are using the same smart contract, and they are deployed twice. So one time for Yellow, one time for Canary. And actually, Canary is deployed before Yellow. So some of the contract we're deploying are non-upgradable and irreversible. And so it's good that we have validation and confirmation first on Canary. I cannot even promise that everything I will deploy on Canary will be audited. But on Yellow, it will. So today...
Yeah, that everything is going to make the main cut.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's going to be a question of, risk evaluation, like the feature we are shipping, is it really risky? And should we test on live audience? So we're going to mitigate this risk, but I'm sure in in the smart contract, in the source code, will explain this was audited, which date, etc. But yeah, of course, be careful. It's a high risk environment, and scale down is very important. So when you're scaling down money, you're scaling down the risk of losses. So we estimate that on the Canary network, the trade you should settle are in the scale of maximum $100. The collateral is going to be in the same scale of $100, whereas in the yellow network is going to be thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's completely different, and so that's why also I use meme coin and Shiba, because you could make a trade of 20 cents, because yellow network is so cool, it's not going to cost you anything. That would be insane to do a 20 cents trade on Uniswap, because it's going to cost you $5 for trading 20 cents. But on yellow, you can. And so that's why I everything is the same, just we are aiming to lower scale.
Right. And it's going to be a continuous cycle of like introducing something to the Duckies Canary, seeing how users react, maybe adjusting some things in order to make it a perfect feature, and then decide upon whether it's going to make the cut to the yellow network or not, whether it's something that should be on the mainnet. Is it affecting all users?
So once a feature is validated by us, by the community, even voted by the community or startups around, it gets promoted to the main network. I mean, it gets audited again. So I would even say, if we pass the validation, it's time for hackathon, bounty. So we invite hackers to come and put their fingers in here. Usually auditors, they already did their job, but it's not enough in security. And so only once we did, let's say, vulnerability bounty programs for a certain period of time, increasing slowly the risk, we are ready to promote to yellow network. And that's going to be a continuous cycle. So every feature will always be gatewayed to the Canary network. So by being on the Canary network, you will always have your latest feature. And if you have an exchange, or if you're doing market making or a trading bot, your bot will be connected to both networks continuously. So even we will tell you guys, if you want to test a new trading strategy, do it on the Canary network and do it with meme coins. And if you see you're doing great, your bot is doing great with meme coin trading, then you can promote your bot to the yellow network and do it with Wrap BTC or Wrap Solana or Serious Coin.
What is going to happen with Duckies token? Duckies token? Let's talk about this, because I know it's been something that our community has been interested from the beginning. When we just announced it, like, what about Duckies? What's going to happen with them?
So we are starting a network upgrade today. So this is, I think, the first milestone will be done today or tomorrow early in the morning. So there is an ERC20 of Duckies, which the address, which start by FFB. So this was an initial version of an ERC20, which is upgradable. But from the soft launch, we did understood that we want to change the reward architecture. So that's one thing. So there was a need of changing the smart contract architecture from reward side, just to limit fraud, protect, let's say, the value of these Duckies. As you saw, we minted the total supply way faster than expected. Like we were
Yeah,
thinking
way faster
years,
than expected.
and it happened way faster.
We planned at least like 6 months, and it happened in a month.
Yeah. And so we've been doing lots of correction here. And the second reason is that we have released the initial, but probably the final version of the yellow token. The yellow token is extremely simple, and we actually been simplifying it since the last year. And so we need to deploy that new version of the token, which is being audited by Hacken right now.
Yes.
So within, let's say, a few days, this is going to be, let's say, with the final approval from the auditors, it's going to be deployed. And that token is going to be a long-term token, I hope. And it is a copy of the yellow token. So there are going to be, a one-to-one copy of each other.
Yet again, we're talking about Duckies audition, just to be clear. Not the yellow token itself. The yellow token.
But there is this parallel constantly happening, So we are doing the software development. The new ERC20 is ready. So we're launching on Canary. And that's the usual development cycle we will always have. So next stage, so that means we're going to do a token swap. So everyone who have Duckies today will receive an equivalent amount into the new Duckies ERC20. So that means, starting today or tomorrow, the address starting by FFB is going to be deprecated. It means we're phasing out this address. And very soon, so today, this is a phase out warning. So everything is working business as usual. But then we're going to have a phase of freezing. So freezing will mean you will not be able to transfer your token anymore. So before the freeze happen, if you have liquidity stacked on QuickSwap or anywhere else, you need to unlock it. I'm sure Burak will make some tutorial.
We will need
put
to
their
do
liquidity there, probably know how to take it out of there. So this is kind of today a signal for you guys to move back your Duckies into your MetaMask or into your Ledger wallet. Same, if it's on some exchange or some smart contract, I recommend moving it into a wallet you control. You have the private key. And finally, the final phase, which might happen in a couple of months after freezing period, we will have the destruction. So the old token will be destroyed, but that means everyone will have migrated to the new token.
Yeah. So all current holders of Duckies, of course, will gonna receive their fraction of the new Duckies. The rate actually depends on the quantity of tokens that you have, and also if you have been suspected of fraud. Yeah, but if you have been suspected of fraud, which we know we talk about. So you might not be that successful in getting the new one.
I would say duplicate account and profile that have been abusing the system. We have taken this into consideration into the new design. I think we do welcome those who are clever with the keyboard and the browser and control hundreds of accounts, because
we learned a lot from this. They're
going to do great testers.
Yeah, we didn't know that when we were very pleasantly surprised, and even people who kind of like found vulnerabilities in the Duckies also did us a great job for us, so we can right now fix it and see how to do better with it. So
So
another
we
point
are
for doing this
definitely,
on a Canary.
yeah. So I think, these are valuable skills we are welcoming, and even on the Canary network,
Yeah.
we will provide some contest of gorilla testing. So we'll incentivize you, reward you for abusing the system. It's going to be very important to make sure our system has been gorilla tested. I think you can imagine bring a few gorillas into your kitchen and imagine if your kitchen is still standing after this, it means you have a well-built kitchen, very robust. So that we call that gorilla testing. And so at the end of this call, we'll send you a form. Anyone that have web skill, testing skills, uh, abusive testing skills. Sometimes you can think of reverse engineering, things like using Postman or opening the JavaScript developer console and looking at those things, like tinkering with the system. You guys should join us, our team of QA testers. You'll be well compensated, rewarded, and that's absolutely important.
Yeah, this is actually like a call for testers right now, because they are one of the most essential people that we are on the lookout for at the moment, in order to to kind of like understand if what we're doing is sitting well with the community. Should we take a little bit of a different direction, do some kind of an A/B testing, again, find if there is any vulnerabilities with the system, so we can succeed better.
Yeah, there is quite a few different types of profile. I would say there is the diligent tester, which is doing a
Mm-hmm.
great job in consistency, consistently testing the system feature by feature, not forgetting any case. So the diligent tester. There is like the gorilla tester, which likes to break things, come in and find vulnerabilities and tinker with the system, or trying to shut it down, take it down, or break it. And then there is the usability tester, which can submit us good ideas and product improvement. So it's more about business, how the user feel about it, is it confusing, can we put some documentation. So all of this feedback are useful for making a great product. And the Canary testing is going to be a lot of these interaction together. And so many
Yeah,
of you have
for
been
sure.
asking, will there be rewards on the Canary on the new Duckies? Of
Mm-hmm.
course. So you've been familiarized with the quest system, and just you will see, I would say, three types of quests. So I mean, there is like verification of your profile, uh, tutorial quest to learn about the system, the game, and then learn about yellow, finance, clearing, and so on. And finally, there will be the QA testing quest. And so here we're going to provide you, a very detailed description of what did we release and what you need to break or what you need to test. And it does not need to be 1 million people. So we had 1 million registration quite quickly in the keys, so that's way too much. But it
Two. It
is
was
still
two.
open. Yeah, it was more than one. But
Yeah, it was
so
actually
so
amazing.
yeah,
Um, great. That's amazing. I just wanted to focus a little bit, since we are like getting closer to the end of the stream. We have seen quite a few questions from the community. I actually made sure that we cover pretty much all of them. But again, just to make things clear, like first of all, like how far along are we with the Canary network? When can people expect this to be accessible to them? Like we're saying right now that we accept submissions for the early access, but when is it early access going to happen?
So we already have the most important building blocks of the yellow network, of the network. So I would say, I mean, the question is not really accessing them, using them, because from the smart contract perspective, using state channel is not very interesting. It's more about what are the first business case we are putting there. So that is, another, let's say, opening for builders to come and join us, because I would say we build together those early stage. So, for example, we're going to both integrate at the same time in initial phase trading bots and exchange. And so, for example, we are happy to look at medium-sized exchange which would like to fix his liquidity problem just to make a business case there. And so this, my expectation would be, let's say, by the time the NFT game is out, we're gonna be full-time dedicated on this. So I would say, how good of a job you guys are doing on testing the game and providing us feedback so we can validate this and move on the next milestone. So that's the milestone right after the game. And so to give you an idea, we are ready to integrate the first use case of the clearinghouse. I would say in middle of March, if I'm counting right, 20-ish of March. It's 3 weeks from now.
Okay, good. So we gave people a time frame. I was just about to ask you. It's basically what, 3 weeks from now, right? I'll be talking.
Yeah,
3-4 weeks from now. Yeah.
Actually, the things on what I call ClearSync. So ClearSync is the main contract, clearing transactions between exchange. This, let's say, we haven't done update on it since December. So this is ready since December, and it's just waiting for the Canary network to exist to be deployed. So it's on hold, waiting for the environment to be there. So that, the order of doing things is, okay, let's put the ERC20, let's put the token, we need to distribute it. And so in the distribution of Duckies, there was a question in the community of, do you need Duckies to open a state channel? The answer is yes, of course.
Of course, yeah.
And so we need to distribute the Duckies to the builders and the testers so they can open channel, close channel, and build things, So little by little, we'll provide tutorial testing sessions for our testers to use their Duckies, open a channel, start their bot, make something, and that's it. So it's a very, the way we've been designing the yellow network smart contract architecture is very incremental, and we are adding by small increment features. So even the first clearing contract is the most simplified version of it, but we want to validate the essential of it. And simple can be extremely powerful. And I actually expect this version to be working for a very long time. But similarly to Uniswap, I think they've been releasing a major version, Uniswap V1, V2, and now V3. I think the time span is 5 years. So I think incrementally, maybe 3-4 years from now, it will be ClearSync version 3.
Can you be very clear as to what exactly people can do on the Canary in the beginning? So what would be our proof of concept release?
So right now we are considering making. I think proof of concept might be quite adequate before doing business case. So a business case would be something useful for business.
Right.
Okay, but if our audience today are early adopters, testers, and not really businesses, we may want to have a version even before that. So we were really let's say obsessed and focused by the first business case, and the first business case would be clearing transaction and interconnecting a minimum of 6 exchange. Okay, so that's our first business case. So if you have Duckies, what you could do in this context of first business case, it's build an exchange and connect with us. Okay, so if you have an exchange, if you want to build one, this is what you could do with your Duckies. So obviously this is not accessible by everyone. A bit like parachain, making a parachain for Kusama user has never been an easy step. I would say for Kusama startup it's a minimum of $100,000 of investment, and we call that for having the developers and so on. I think it's much easier and affordable. So for example, in the Canary network, if you know how to run a trading bot, for example, an open source trading bot, maybe many of you know Hummingbot. We even provide trading bots that are open source on our own GitHub. If you can get a server, install the trading bot, you can use Canary network and Duckies to do it. So you could connect your trading bot to those 6 exchanges that are there. And another use case, I wouldn't say use case, demo case we are trying to put together. It's not confirmed yet because it does not really make any sense to do it, but I call it the console. That might be more user-friendly and interesting for anyone to try. It's downloading a user interface, opening a channel, and sending trade, and then closing your channel. And I call it demo because it's not a business case, it's useless. You'd better use Uniswap. You could do it this way with our system if you don't want to pay the Uniswap fees for every trade. So for example, you trade on one market, say Shiba Inu USDT, and in the morning you open your state channel. All day you're making orders, so your day trading activity. And at the end of the day, you close your channel, which means you're only paying Matic fees because the environment for the first Canary network will be on Polygon, might be on Ethereum later. But at this stage, you'll pay Matic fees to close your channel and settle your trade. And so that could be the first most accessible use case we have for people. But this is a fresh idea because we're trying to make it more accessible while we're still resolving big business problem, institutional trading problem, global scale of trading. So okay, we try to make both communities happy.
Not an
I think
easy task.
it's important that we stay focused on our
Yeah.
main goal and main business. So I think I need about 2 to 3 weeks to know if we will do the console and confirm the launch of the console. And it might be working in parallel with the first business case of bringing up Six Exchange.
Yeah. And we would also be releasing some kind of like a guidelines for people, maybe a documentation for people to how to join, what do they need to do, explain everything, because right now I can understand that it's not very clear for everyone at this point, at least how it's going to look, what exactly do they need to possess, how to open like a state channel, how to deposit the collateral, and etc. Okay, actually, I think we kind of covered the majority of the important questions, especially for this like a discussion stream. We are running out of time, unfortunately, but if you have more questions, make sure to drop them in our community, join our Discord, join our Telegram, join our Twitter. We would be happy to answer pretty much anything that you can ask us. And also, we'll be holding more AMAs in the future because this topic is so very interesting. There's still a lot of things that we want to cover within within the Yellow ecosystem to explain to you the Duckies NFT game, or what is going to be the deal with this, what's going to be the role for it. We still need to make a few official announcements, and especially about the token deprecation that Luis mentioned earlier today. We will explain how that's going to happen, how much time you're going to have, when are we going to freeze the accounts, when are we going to be making the snapshot, and so on. So we'll explain to you how the new token also work, how many tokens are you going to receive for the ones that are currently in your account. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today, Louis. Thank you guys for taking your time to join our stream and listening to us. I really hope it was useful for you, not just on the side of Duckies and Yellow and everything, but on the topic of Canary networks at all, because I think it's going to be a trend for the blockchain. Maybe not in like a month or two, but definitely in the next few years. So thank you so much. We'll see you again soon. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.